Today's video, we're going to talk about battery capacity testers and how my viewers can test their own batteries at home and why you should be testing your own batteries. Because whether you buy a brand new battery that is a drop-in replacement for a lead acid, or you're building your own DIY battery with grade A cells or even grade B cells, you should always capacity test your batteries. And doing a battery capacity test is the easiest way to know the overall health of your battery cells and the components around it. Because sometimes your cells could be good, but your BMS could be faulty or misprogrammed. Let's say your low voltage disconnect is not set properly and you're not getting full capacity. You will find out instantly with a capacity test. You will also find out if you got ripped off by your seller, and there are lots of sleazeball sellers on AliExpress. As you guys have noticed, we had 120 amp hour cells a couple weeks ago, and we only pulled 116 amp hours. So I got ripped off. So now that you know why you should capacity test your cells, let's learn how. Over here we have a shunt and a battery capacity monitor. And a shunt is a very simple apparatus. First, we have a very low resistant resistor, this black part right here, and then we have a couple wires. These wires measure the voltage drop across this resistor to figure out how much current is flowing through it. And then we have some voltage sensing wires right here and right here to tell us what the voltage of the battery is. And then it takes those two numbers, the current and the voltage, and figures out the watts, or how many watt hours is going in and out of the battery. And a lot of people use shunts as a battery capacity monitor for their solar power systems. Now that you guys are introduced to what a shunt is, we're going to talk about a Hall effect sensor. This figures out how much current is going through a wire based off of the fluctuation in the electromagnetic field. So as electrons travel through the conductor, it changes the field and this measures it. And this is cool because this is bi-directional. You just have a coil and it computes the watt hour rating. You also need the voltage of the battery, so you need voltage sensing wires. This works really well and it's very crazy accurate, but I've actually moved on to other things, but this is great. This is a great little setup. You even have relay inputs and outputs and all sorts of other cool options. But the bummer with using a shunt or a Hall effect sensor is you have to add your own load, such as a large resistor or an inverter. And a lot of people don't have those laying around and they just want a battery tester. So these are what I'm using now. These are so easy to use, you guys. And all this is a highly sophisticated DC heater. We have a power MOSFET that this logic control board controls, connected to a heatsink and a fan. So you control how much current goes through it depending on the voltage of the battery, which will determine the watt draw, and then you measure it with this shunt. So all you need to know is that you connect the battery right here, you play with these little dials, and it measures how much power is given off as heat. And that's it. I thought these were so cheap and cheesy at first, and I was like, I would never trust that. But after doing multiple tests, this is all I'm using now. Like, these things are awesome and they give accurate results every time. And so I think it's smart to have a shunt or a Hall effect sensor on your system, but if you want to do individual cell testing, I would absolutely use this. And if you're just testing a single cell, you can actually add a low voltage disconnect. So for this, because this is lithium iron phosphate, I would add the disconnect at like 2.6 volts. So I can actually program it on this screen and it only has a single button, so it's very easy to use, so that when this battery is down to that voltage, it will stop the test. Check out how easy the display is to read. And this is not sponsored. I just bought this for cheap and I thought it was gonna fail, but I love this thing. The biggest problem with these battery capacity testers is that you can do a very low C rate only. If you're trying to do a 1 C rate, or for lithium titanate, a 5 or a 10 C rate, this will not work. What I really like about these is if the battery goes too low or the power supply is cut, it will stop the test. And once you plug it back in, it will start up the test again. So you don't have to worry about your power supply cutting off power to your Hall effect sensor monitor. Because I would sit there with my little power supply wires and I'm like, okay, I hope these do not, come off of my test equipment. But for this, you don't have to worry about it. It has a wall adapter, you plug it in, and it just works. Also, I bought both of these off of AliExpress, but I like this one just because it looks cooler. But this one works fine too, so they are practically the same thing. It's the same board. Now that you understand the low C rate test, let's do a high C rate tester. So these can pull 100 amps continuously. And it's really simple. You connect your battery to these two terminals and you connect your load to these two terminals. And this is the shunt. This is a low resistance resistor with a calculated resistance so that it can measure the voltage drop, and then it will calculate how much current's going through and so on and so forth. But a very simple device, and also this is the same exact screen as the other cheaper ones. So they're all using the same boards and logic control systems. This one is actually almost the same as this one. You put the wires in right here, but instead of 4 of them, you only have 3. So you put the load between the V negative out to the V positive, and then you have V negative to the battery. So this is a slightly different configuration. But these are how you do it if you have like lithium titanate, or if you're trying to push some serious amps. You could put like 5 of these in parallel and push like 500 amps continuous, which is a lot for a PCB, but this should be able to handle it. These are some large terminal connectors that they gave me, and this copper PCB is really thick, so it should be able to handle it just fine. So let's actually test some of these out real quick so you guys know how to use them. You have a positive and a negative that you connect to the battery, and then you have a coarse and a fine adjustment knob for controlling the current going into this system. So when you connect a battery, it will show you the voltage, but to control the current, or how many watts are going into this system and being dissipated as heat, you need to control these knobs. But before you connect a battery, you need to spin these anti-clockwise, so all the way this way, and then you can connect the battery. So first, let's add a 12-volt battery to this little tester. Because this is lithium iron phosphate, we're running at 13.3 volts. Now let's adjust the coarse knob until the amperage increases. And now it's consuming power. And now we can click through the different menu options and see it's using 37 watts. So let's increase this a bit more. Now we're using 176 watts. The max that this tester can handle is 186 watts, so make sure that you do not go over that limit unless it will turn itself off. Now let's increase it a little bit more, and we're at 182 watts, so we're pulling 14.5 amps. And now the fan is on and it's generating heat. So it's taking the power stored in the battery, converting it into heat, and it's measuring how much electricity is going through it. And that's pretty much it. It will control the output until the battery is completely dead. If you want to control the low voltage disconnect, go over to this setting, and right now it will run it down to 0 volts. But because this is lithium iron phosphate, I would run it down to like 11.5 volts, where it's nearly empty. And the home screen is actually in Chinese, which is pretty funny. And then you click it once, and then you go to this one. My favorite one is this one because it shows the wattage. That's really nice. But yeah, you just leave it connected to your battery, and then in a couple hours, you will have a capacity reading. Now let's say you want to test the capacity of a single cell. So we're going to connect one cell to the battery tester, and this individual cell is running at 3.2 volts. If I'm trying to do a new capacity test, you want to hold this button down until it resets. And then we can start the test again. So we want to rotate the knob until we get the proper amperage that we want for this test. And check it out, we're pulling 16 watts, and we can crank this up by quite a bit. Because this is a lower voltage, we can crank this knob all the way up. And if you want to hone in perfectly on a specific C rate, then you can use the fine control knob. And check it out, we're pulling 21 amps right now. Let's see how high this can go. 21.8 amps. So that's awesome. For this size cell, it would take 5 hours, and this is like a 0.21 C test. So that would give you a very accurate assessment of the true capacity of this cell. And what's cool is if you guys know how to use this one, you can use all of them. So I just connected this one to a power supply, and look, it's the same exact interface. And same goes for this one. It's the same exact thing. It just has a different case around it. But I must also add that if you have a shunt on your current system and you are pulling full capacity all the time, you do not need to buy one of these. Just stick with what you have. If you have a lot of batteries and you want to capacity test multiple batteries at a time, then you should consider getting one of these. Or if you want to do diagnostic work, or if you have individual cells. If you're a DIY battery builder, then these are very useful, and you can use them for multiple voltages of batteries. Actually, you could use this for a 48 volt battery. So this is really fun stuff. And for the final test, we're going to connect this 100 amp one and actually test it. I have not tested a full load on it, so we're going to connect a battery and a huge inverter and see what happens. And this is how easy it is, you guys. We have a battery, we have the capacity tester, and we have an inverter or a load. And you do not need to have an external power source to power it. You can actually power it just from the battery alone, but the screen will turn off when the battery is depleted. But what's really cool is watch what happens when I disconnect the battery. When I reconnect it, we will still have our watt-hour capacity figure. So you technically do not need to have an external power source. So let's connect the battery and check it out. There's our watt-hour and amp-hour figure from before we disconnected the battery. Now we're going to add a load and see what happens. I just realized something. You cannot go over 84 amps. Look at that. It stops right there, 85. So yeah, this is not really a 100 amp capacity. God, that is hot. Yeah, you do not want to hit 100 amps. This can only handle 84. Well, that's a bummer. Yeah, look at that, 85.6. I can't get it higher than that. So that's AliExpress for you guys. What a bummer. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's check online and see what the listing says. You guys, it says 100 amps on the ad. Look it. See, 300 volts, 100 amps. I don't think I did anything wrong here. All right, let's reset it and try one more time. 85.6 amps. That's the max I'm getting, you guys. So if you want to pull 100 amps, do not buy this. It is inaccurately rated and the description on AliExpress is wrong. And if you think about it, look at how small this shunt is and it's expected to pull 100 amps. If you look at our other cheap ones, so this one has 4, but this one can only handle 20 amps and only has 2. So just based off of, common sense, I would imagine this shunt would be bigger. This is actually not that uncommon. This Hall effect sensor had the same issue. I think it was rated for like 150 amps, but could only do 100 amps. So this is very common, unfortunately. If you want to do high C-rate tests for like lithium titanate, you're going to have to use something like a 350 amp shunt. That's what this one can handle. These get very hot when you're pushing 300 amps through them though, just so you know. But these will actually handle the load and you can actually measure it with a cheap capacity monitor. This one doesn't. But these are accurate. I love these. These things are freaking amazing. But they are not pulling 100 amps. So, dang, what a bummer. Should I post that on AliExpress and say, hey, you guys lied to me again? Also, they lied to me about the resistor. This thing was supposed to be 10 ohms to 0 ohms, but it was freaking 10,000 ohms. So I started a dispute about an hour ago with this one too. God dang it, man. Also, I wonder what the accuracy is like when you're pushing the full continuous load. If you're doing a 0.2C test, it doesn't matter. These things stay pretty cool to the touch and the results are very accurate. Also, before I even considered making this video, I tested this against the Hall effect sensor and the shunt, and it was super accurate. So I think using this for individual cells or 12 volt batteries at a 0.2C rate will work really well. But yeah, it's very questionable how well these big ones work for continuous large loads. This is actually the first time I've connected this one, but I've been using this one all week. I've used it at least 10 times and all of the results are very accurate. And I've used it with other meters like my Klein and it gives me accurate results with that. So I'm trusting this one. This one's awesome. And it's a complete unit. You don't have to build it. You don't have to crimp any of the lugs. I mean, this is not cheap wire. So yeah, if you're just a beginner and you want something easy, I would just use this. It's so funny how many things are from China that are rated for 100 amps. They cannot handle it. I've seen it so many times on cheap BMSs. They can only handle 60 to 80 amps, but it will have a sticker on it saying 100 amps, and it's just so silly. This one actually cuts out and you can't even see that reading. So it tells you, but this thing got really hot, and that's just illogical to have that small of a shunt for 100 amps. Look how tiny that is. Also, there are other options on the market, but they cost a lot. There's one used by the automotive industry, and it's over $1,000, and it does exactly what this one does. So if I were you guys and you were worried about the accuracy of these, because I'm sure like 1 out of 30 is not accurate, just because the manufacturing tolerances. So if I were you, I would buy 3 of them, test it on a single battery, and if one is giving you different results and it's not in agreement with your DC clamp meter for or amperage, then you know you had a bad one. I've actually never had a capacity monitor be inaccurate except for the RC hobby ones. I bought like 8 of them for a solar panel test project about a year ago, and one of them was completely inaccurate. But all these other cheap ones that I've been testing have been crazy accurate. I think this one's the most accurate, the Hall effect sensor one, because these just work in a very simple way. If a shunt is not, manufactured properly and that resistance is not just perfect and it overheats, the temperature coefficient can change the resistance, and you could get inaccurate readings with a cheaply made shunt. But I've actually never seen a shunt be inaccurate. So that would be really hard to do too, because they're very simple little devices. I don't even think the tolerances need to be good. I think just the quality control needs to be good, making sure that the metals in the mold got hot enough and it's actually, tested before it leaves the factory. So this video was pretty fun. We got to learn a lot, and we found an AliExpress product that's not working as advertised. But if you guys disagree with me and you think that these cheap Chinese things are not worth their money, also, don't tell me Victron, all right? Victron's made in China or India as well, all right? Most of these companies, even the high quality ones, are made in China still. So if you have a suggestion that is below $1,000 that's very accurate, please let me know. I'm not gonna spend over $1,000 when I can buy this $30 one that accomplishes the same exact task, and I've never had any inaccuracies ever with any of these. Anyways, please let me know what you guys think below, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.